The strategy for more life, for more fulfillment, for more purpose, for what you really want out of 2017. The strategy for more is not spiritual trying, it is spiritual training. My name is John. If I haven't met you yet, welcome to week 2 of Made for More. And as Dan just talked about, it's pretty cool to know that right now, right around 600 downloads of our app has taken place, and that number is growing, which is really cool because we want to help you find and follow Christ. And so luckily for you, you were on the nice list. And for Christmas Eve, your Christmas gift was a little church app. And so you're welcome. I received the cards already. Thank you for sending those. We are thrilled that we can have this tool. One little thing to mention, as you're taking notes in the notes section of the app, at the very bottom it says email. I recommend you click that button because some of you have already learned if you don't, that all gets deleted, okay? So make sure that you email those notes to yourself. And just a thought, you don't have to do this, just a thought, right? This is for free. Just a thought. What if you email those notes to you and you then take that PDF from your inbox and you print it out? What if you keep a folder of all your notes from 2017? Maybe you want to make posters out of them. I don't know. But what could it look like, right, for us to lean in and engage even more in 2017, even more than we did in 2016? If you missed last week, if you were traveling, which I know a number of you were, let me go ahead and kind of bring us up to speed on this 3-week vision series called Made for More. Last week, here's what I talked about. I said that we ask it. You ask it, I ask it, we all ask it. We ask this singular question, and that question is this: is there more to life than this? Is there? Right? We ask it in different seasons and for different reasons. We ask this singular question: is there more to life than this? And instead of just giving you an answer for your question, what we want to give you this year, what we want to provide for you this year is a strategy for your quest. More than just giving you an answer for that question, we want to offer you a strategy for your quest. And we talked about this strategy, and this strategy involves spiritual training. I likened it to IKEA, right? Some assembly required. I said when it comes to growing and assembling and building a dynamic spiritual life, here's the fine print: there is some training required. In fact, I think we would agree that if you want to have a dynamic spiritual life, if you really want to grow, there's lots of spiritual training required. But we know this, right? This comes of no surprise. Why? We know this because for all the great endeavors of life, training is required. Think about it. For all the great endeavors of life, training is required. If you're having a baby, and I did that, well, my wife did that once. I remember going to about 89 training classes, and I went there and we learned how to do that, and I coached super well. If you want to summit Everest, guess what you do? You know what you do if you want to summit Everest? 2 words: you train. If you want to dance at Juilliard one day, you know what you do? You train. If you want to finish an Ironman, and some of you are crazy enough to want to do that, you know what you do? Say it with me, 2 words: you train. And if you want to grow spiritually, really grow spiritually, you know what you do? 2 words: you train. And this is why the strategy for more is not spiritual trying. The strategy for more is spiritual training. This is why Pastor Jon Ortberg writes this, one of my all-time favorite books on how we grow spiritually in the life you've always wanted. He said this, and this is there in the notes section for you. You can even order the book from Amazon. Here it is. Have you ever tried to be patient with a 3-year-old? Show of hands. This was me yesterday at the Park District pool. We got a new 2.5-year-old that moved in with us. We took her in, and I was trying to teach her how to swim. And I'm not going to get into the details, but let's just say old JP here was struggling with some patience. She would refuse to close her mouth, which in swimming is not a good thing. All right, and nevertheless, it was unbelievable. She almost drowned 5 times. Have you ever... but she loved it. Have you ever tried to be patient with a 3-year-old? I have, and it generally did not work any better than would me trying to run a marathon for which I had not trained. I would end up exhausted and defeated. Spiritual transformation, get this. Spiritual transformation is not a matter of trying harder, but of training wisely. Spiritual training, it's one of the major themes of the Pauline writings. This is what the Apostle Paul talked about. Check it out right here in Timothy 4, 1 Timothy 4. Physical training is good, but training for godliness, this is what I'm talking about. Training for godliness. Becoming more like Jesus. Living a life that looks more like his life. All right, he says training for godliness is much better. Promising benefits in this life and in the life to come. This is why the strategy for more is not spiritual trying, it's spiritual training. Now, as a church, if you've been around here for any length of time, some of you have been here for the whole duration, like 20 of us have been here for the whole duration, you would know that as a church, we've been really committed to gathering. Dan just talked about it, and we're going to talk about that even more in the coming weeks and months. We are very committed to gathering. We've also been very committed to going, to being the hands and feet of Jesus, okay? But starting today, in new ways, here's what we're also going to be about. We're also going to be about growing. Helping you grow. Helping you spiritually grow, I believe, in ways like you have yet to experience through the ministry of Mission Church. And the way that this growth is going to happen in your life, one of the primary ways, not the only, but one of the primary ways is through what we're calling our growth track. Our growth track. I want us to say growth track on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Growth track. And I can tell you're excited about it, which is good. So let me talk to you about our growth track. We've been building this since June. Been working on this thing. This has been really through the leadership of Dan Ruda, and he's done an incredible job, but our whole staff has been involved in this. We've been building and designing our growth track. And I think it was about October. I was sitting there, and I think in pictures, and I'm like, man, God, I need some help on being able to understand this growth track, but also communicate this growth track. And this metaphor came to my mind, and it's the metaphor of Lifetime Fitness. Show of hands, how many of you have ever been to Lifetime Fitness? Okay, yeah, I'd been there too before. And if you've been to a Lifetime Fitness, almost every single one of Lifetime Fitnesses are designed the same. They have 2 floors, right? So they have 2 floors, but each floor serves a different purpose. If you go into Lifetime Fitness, you'll find that the first floor, really the purpose of the first floor is about belonging and community and connection. And you can find that if you join a basketball team, if you play pickup basketball, if you play racquetball, right? You have belonging and community and connection. And I'm laughing because I remember when I took the ball and I hit it as hard as I could into Jason Mottle's back one day. I mean, we were connecting with one another. That's funny to me still. Or maybe it's not in racquetball. Perhaps it's out by the pool. You're sitting there, you're talking to friends. Maybe you're splashing around with your kids. Or you have some kind of big or important conversation in the cafe. Over a smoothie, over a sandwich. That's the first floor. The first floor is about belonging. It's about connection. It's about community. And over the past 5 years, this church has been about the first floor. So here's what you've experienced if you've engaged. You've experienced a lot of first floor kind of environments. Perhaps that's been volunteering on a team. You've connected. You feel a greater sense of belonging. For some of you, it's volunteering with perhaps it's Holiday Gift Mart or Project Just Start. Some of you, it's engaging in a mission group during the middle of the week, and you've had some of those really important conversations sitting in a living room or around the table. This is the first floor kind of experiences that you have been invited into, and a number of you have engaged in. And here's what's happened. I love this. Here's what's happened. This church has moved from just being a crowd to a community, right? It's become a community. This is a church about names. Right? Because you've engaged in the first floor. And here's what I want you to understand. We have to continue to be a first floor kind of church. We lose that, we pretty much lose everything. We have to continue to be really diligent on this to be a first floor kind of church. But, we got some good news. We're opening up the second floor. Yeah, we're going to open up, yes. 4 of you are excited, and that's fine. More of you are about to get excited. We're opening up the second floor. So if you go to Lifetime and you say, all right, I want to get serious about training. You know where you head? You head up to the second floor. And I remember when I headed up to the second floor, it was my choice. No one carried me up there. I walked up there myself. All right? And when I got to the top of the stairs, there was a guy standing there in a shirt 5 sizes too small. In big white letters on his back said trainer, and he was yoked, he was jacked, right? And I'm like, I'd be cool if I looked more like you. And so he said, hey man, I think it was more like this. He's like, what's up? I'm a trainer here, and if you want to really get into physical shape, right, I can help. I'm like, cool, well let's talk about this. He said, well, more than talk, I want to first assess you. I was like, dude, I just came up here to do a couple curls. He's like, no, I need to assess you. I'm like, all right. He's like, so step on the scale. I'm like, is anyone looking? So I stepped on the scale. He wanted to get my weight. And then he got these, this is back in the day, he got these black pinchers out. and he grabbed some of my side meat over here. And he's like, I need to test your body fat. And it's a while ago, I don't remember, but it was somewhere around 2 to 3%, I think was the reading that he got on it. And so he's assessing me because he knew what he was doing. Why? Here's why. Before he could offer me a training program, he had to first understand what my starting point was. Right? Here's something that's cool. 321 of you took the growth assessment this past week. Pretty cool, right? You can clap. You took it. You can clap for yourself. Good job. 300, and you're like, I didn't take it, but I'll clap anyway. 321 of you took it. It's good news, right? It's good news. Why? Right? The strategy for more is not spiritual trying, it's spiritual training. And I'm your trainer, by the way. Welcome to the gym. Welcome to the gym. I'm your trainer. That's really what a pastor is supposed to be. In partnership with the Holy Spirit and the power of God's word, I'm here to help you get in spiritual shape. Can I get a witness? All right. Now, I don't know if you want to get in shape yet, but that's part of my job is to try to ask these questions for you to begin to wonder and imagine what if? What if your life could look like that, right? And so here's the thing. 150 of you opted to not take our growth assessment. Everyone go, oh. All right. So my job is to not make you feel bad or shame doesn't work. It might work for a few minutes, but it doesn't work long term. So that's not what I'm trying to do. Some of you didn't take the growth assessment because you're like, Pastor, this is my first time ever to church. All right, get it. Some of you are like, I'm not even sure what you're talking about yet. All right, you're going to understand more today. Definitely by next week, okay? Some of you were traveling, you were out of town. Some of you, you're just indifferent. You've been part of church your whole life, and you haven't done anything for a decade. And the reality is, if that's you, I can't help you. I can't. Okay? So we all didn't take it for probably different reasons, but I want to really press in. Why? Because I'm your trainer, and part of my job is to get into your face. So I'm going to do that with kindness today. Why? Because I care. I care. And so if you want to get in spiritual shape, I'm here to help. And so we need to take this growth assessment. We got to understand what your starting point is, and you can take that from our church app. In under 3 minutes, you can understand, and we will then know what your starting point is. Here's the last thing that I realized about the second floor that day of Lifetime Fitness. You don't stay there forever. You intensely train. This isn't exercise I'm talking about. Training. You intensely train for a short period of time, then you head back downstairs, or at least that's where I headed to get a smoothie, right? You head back downstairs and sit in the steam room or in the hot tub or in the sauna. And so here's why we're not offering this growth track all year. We're only offering in the winter and in the fall. Okay? It's for that reason. Secondly, the reason we are offering zero, how many? Zero mission groups this winter is because I'm called and will give an account on how well I'm training you spiritually. And so there's no mission groups allowed. None permitted. Those are illegal. We've banned them for the winter. But they're going to come back in the summer. Because for the winter, I want to challenge you to do something different. I actually want you to get uncomfortable. And if you've ever gotten in shape, that means at some point you had to take the sweatpants off and you had to start lifting stuff. You had to actually get uncomfortable, right? But you know if you've done that, it was worth it. It was worth it. This is why the second floor, our growth track, so to speak, it will not be available all year, but it will be available this winter and next fall. The strategy for more is not spiritual trying, it's spiritual training. Now, I want to talk for a minute about tomatoes. That was a good transition. And some of you saw I made a little announcement on Facebook that I retired from the tomato business. And here's what I mean by that. Viewing spiritual growth as you would growing tomatoes. If any of you ever grow tomatoes before? Okay, yes, you went to Lowe's as well, and you want to grow something for the kids to look at. And so you grew them like me. And here's what's awesome about tomatoes. Actually, this part is really cool. The fruit happens really quick, like weeks. And you're like, man, I should be a farmer, right? Like there's Tom, the tomato, like right there. Like this is amazing, right? So immediate fruit, and it's really exciting. It's really exciting, and even a lot of fruit at times. But here's what you need to know about tomatoes. You have to replant those tomato bushes every single year. They don't make it through the heat. When it gets cold, they don't make it through the cold. You got to replant them every single year. So this is why I've retired from the tomato business. You know what business I'm now in? It's the mango tree business. That's why there were mangoes next to the donuts on the way in today, okay? And those were healthy snacks. Those were approved. I'm in the mango tree business. Here's what you need to know about mango trees. This is awesome. It takes a really long time to see fruit. Actually, it takes a year for you to see the first visible sign of fruit. But once you see fruit, did you know this? Once you see fruit, that mango tree will bear fruit for the next 100 years without ever having to be replanted one time. This is why I'm getting into the mango business, okay? I'm into the mango tree business. What's the difference between tomatoes and mangoes? Here's the difference. It's the depth of their root system. It's the depth of the root system. It's the depth of the root system. That's the difference. And people would tell you this about mangoes. They would say once that mango tree has matured, and it takes a while for it to mature, but once it has become mature, it is almost completely indestructible. And this is why I know, and I believe to my core, you want to become more of a mango tree. You do, right? I mean, can you imagine if you had indestructible joy? Doesn't matter how hot it gets or how cold it gets, indestructible joy, right? Some of you would say, yeah, I want to possess an indestructible faithfulness. I want to experience what it's like to have an indestructible marriage. Anyone else? Right? I want this for you. I want you to live an indestructible life for the indescribable glory of God. That's what I want. I want that for you. Listen to the words of Jeremiah 17, 7 through 9. But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. Right? This person is blessed. This isn't like bad news, bad day, terrible life plan and strategy. No, blessed. Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought. And some of you have been in a year of drought. But it has no worries in a year of drought. Why? It never fails. It never fails to bear fruit. And some of you are saying, Pastor, how could I have a stronger trust in 2017 in God? I got 2 words for you: growth track. Those are my 2 words. Pastor, how could I develop a confidence that flows from God instead of myself? 2 words: growth track. Pastor, I've been battling fear and worry. What should I do? 2 words: growth track. John, I would like to experience this kind of fruit that you're speaking of: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and, Chicagoans, self-control. Man, I want some of that fruit. Am I the only one? I don't think so. And by the way, the person you came with, they want more of that fruit in your life as well, right? I mean, can you imagine your relationships this year with that kind of fruit? Can you imagine your marriage with that kind of fruit? Can you imagine the environment of your school if you begin to have undeniable joy and peace and patience? What if you were the kindness guy? Imagine if that became your brand. What if you became the self-control girl? Imagine if that became your signature in 2017. 2 words: growth track. Now, that being said, I want to make sure we understand something. This is really, really important. Fruit bearing is not about, and never has been about, fruit hoarding. Okay? It's really important. Fruit bearing is not about fruit hoarding. Spiritual fruit cannot ever terminate on itself. Spiritual fruit is meant to bless the world. Do you know this? It's meant to bless the world. And when I talk about the growth track, it's really important to understand what we are praying and hoping will happen in your life. I want to see God bear fruit in your life, not that you would hoard it to yourself, but that you would extend it to the world. You understand what I'm getting at here? This is why we are not called Gather Church. This is why when I chose the name for it, I did not call it Grow Church. What's the name of our church? Someone say it with some volume and passion. It's Mission Church. Why? Because we are a church that will gather and grow and go. Why? Because the kingdom of God has come, therefore we must go. We must go to our city for his glory. And I want you to know up front, when it comes to this growth track, the goal is to not create a bunch of Christian class dwellers. That's called the wrong track, not the growth track. I just need to take some more classes, Pastor. I don't quite have the Greek down yet. Once I get the Greek, then I can actually talk to my neighbor about Jesus. Wrong church, wrong track. You got to understand, okay, this is about us going to our neighborhoods and networks with more fruit, not less. Living more distinct lives. Really being that city on a hill that Jesus came to usher in. If you want to be part of changing the world, here's what you need to know. Changed people change the world. Changed people change homes. Changed people change businesses. Changed people change schools and departments. Changed people change the world. So if you want to change the world, one day, I got 2 words for you. Growth track. Why am I so confident in the growth track? Got to hear this. Don't send me an email. Listen really, really clearly. Why am I so confident in the growth track? It's this, and I put it in the notes for you. The growth track is 100% about the gospel taking root in your life to the degree that it changes everything about you. Only the gospel has this kind of power. Not more teaching the gospel. This is why I'm so confident. The power of the growth track is found in the power of the gospel, right? The power of the gospel. This is why I'm so confident in the growth track. And this is why it begins with belief. Our growth track has 4 very specific stages. And you can't get through all of them in less than 2 years. For most, it's going to take a few years, okay? Mango trees, okay? But it begins with belief. And those of you that took the growth assessment, you got a response. And that response was for you to grow in belief. This is where it begins. Now, the training program that we've attached to belief is a training program called Alpha. Everyone say Alpha on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Alpha, okay? And some of you have never heard about Alpha before, so let me kind of fill in some blanks. 29 million people have gone through this training course before, all right? This training program. It's powerful stuff. Some of the responses have been, I could finally ask my questions. Some of you have been carrying with you unanswered questions, and it's terrifying to ask those in a church setting, all right? This is what Alpha's about. They said, could finally ask them. Another person said, you could say anything, challenge it or question it, just go ahead and be who you are. Another person said, talking about what faith means to each of us allowed me to think about what I actually believe. We brought a video to put a little more skin on this so that you can check it out and so that you could take that step to register for Alpha today. Let's go ahead and take a look at this video now.
Having conversations about life, faith, and Jesus is hard. And this is interesting because at some point, everyone wrestles with life's big questions. Questions about hope, purpose, meaning, and love. Alpha started in a church in London years ago with a simple idea to engage friends who might not typically go to church. Lives were transformed, and it began to grow all over the world. Today, you can find Alpha in schools, coffee shops, church buildings, prisons, and homes. And so far, 29 million people have experienced Alpha. So what is Alpha? Imagine creating a space where people in our community, our friends, neighbors, and coworkers, can come and have conversations in a way that is authentic and unforced. Where leaders don't need to have all the answers, and anyone can ask tough questions and share honestly about what they believe. Alpha is a series of interactive sessions exploring the basics of the Christian faith. In each session, you eat food, listen to a talk, and have discussions in small groups. All of this is done in a fun environment where anyone is welcome. That's what Alpha is all about.
Did you catch the food part? That's what sold me, all right? If there's good food involved, I'm in. And so you're going to have a meal every week. It's free. This is going to be on Wednesday nights, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Do it. Just do it. Come on, just do something different this year. All right? If it's terrible, if it sucks, don't do it again. All right? You can blame me. You can just hate me forever, okay? But if your growth step is to grow and believe, just do it. Sign up. And in fact, you got a link in your email. If you took it, what you got to do is you press the link, and then you can get registered for Alpha. Now, if you don't have a phone or you didn't get that, or if you have questions, we would love to help you and serve you well at Steps Matter on your way out today. We can get you registered for Alpha. It begins on February 1st, right? This is why the growth track. Why do I have confidence? Why? It's 100% about the gospel taking root in your life to the degree that it changes everything about you. And this is why it begins with belief and moves towards experience. Experience. This means experiencing the gospel, not just for an hour on Sunday, all right? It's a good place to start. But to experience the gospel 7 days a week. We have a video that kind of talks a little bit more about this training program called the Gospel Primer. Let's go ahead and take a look at this training video now.
Here's a story that probably sounds familiar. This is life. And life is made up of a lot of stuff. Like relationships, finances, family, church, school, birthdays, work meetings, stuff we celebrate, and stuff we grieve. And like other people, you may have already heard about and believe the good news of the gospel, this new life and new way to live. Then something cool happens. Certain things in your life begin to be affected because of this new life. However, there are still other areas of life that seem disconnected, and what you believe about the gospel and what you experience don't always align. But what if you could grow to experience the impact the gospel is meant to have in every area of your life? What if you could grow beyond just concepts about God that inspire you to a life of transformation that changes you? Gospel Primer will equip you to form a gospel foundation, discover your true identity, observe your ongoing transformation, and be empowered to live differently, all to experience the gospel in a continuous way in every area of life. Through this tool, you will engage new content daily, apply scripture to your life, take action, and gather with others weekly to encourage and celebrate how you are being changed. When you take this step to grow, you begin to experience the lasting change you are looking for, your relationships are waiting for, and your city is desperate for.
The strategy for more is not spiritual trying, it's spiritual training. And when you took your growth assessment, the one word, if you got back, was experience. This is the training program for you. I got a couple testimonials of some friends that went through this fall. Jessica Roberts said, "It changed my perspective on God, the Bible, myself, and how to interact with others. There are a ton of key facts about God presented in a whole new way." Ryan Bowman said it this way, "Gospel Primer pushed me to struggle with my own story, to understand its significance and be grateful." All right, so my job, I fully believe I will get an account and give an account for how well I spiritually trained you in partnership with the Holy Spirit. And so part of my job is to, at times, with kindness, like push you and get in your face and challenge you, right? And so here's what I'm challenging you to do. Like if you want more, how about a new strategy? What if you try something different? And for some of you, that is going to be to register for Alpha today. For others, it's going to be to register for Gospel Primer. There's no other options. And my hope and my prayer, listen to my heart, is that over the months and years to come, Mission Church will be full of a whole bunch of mango trees. Indestructible joy, indestructible peace, indestructible love, indestructible marriages. This is my prayer, and this is my hope. If you are here and you want to spiritually grow, we're here to help. We're here to help. And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to offer you 2 minutes right now for you to, number one of two things. Take the growth assessment. If you haven't taken it yet, you got to take it. Okay? You can do that from the app. It'll probably take you 2 minutes, super quick. If if you don't have a phone, you left it in the car, we have hard copy forms for you to take the spiritual assessment at these 2 tables right here. Dan is walking towards one right now, and the other one is just over here in the back. Take the growth assessment if you have not already, all right? If you haven't, take it right now in these 2 minutes. If you've already taken the growth assessment, in your email inbox is the link to click to get registered for your training program, which is either Alpha or it is Gospel Primer. And I want to challenge you to do that, all right? Sign up, get registered. I personally am fired up for my own life of what I'm going to experience with a few other guys in Gospel Primer this winter. I think it's going to be a powerful thing for me. I'm really excited about it. I want to encourage you guys to sign up now to do that. We're going to give you a couple minutes to do this, okay? And once we kind of feel like we've given you enough time, then our band is going to play one last song. If you have any questions, again, we're in the lobby. We're happy to help.